Yeah.
I didn't. They drafted one guy in the 5th round and one guy in the 3rd round. I assumed the guy drafted in the 3rd round was better, which was a mistake on my part. I do think Shedeur showed more explosiveness than Dillon Gabriel. Deshaun Watson, my gut tells me he never plays football again, but he's got $46 million. He's under contract. The owner of the team went to his wedding. They made the worst trade in NFL history and the worst contract in NFL history for Deshaun Watson.
Like, subscribe, and hit that bell.
The league feels like it's on edge after Myles Garrett publicly backed Shedeur Sanders as the Browns' starting quarterback. Analysts are starting to echo the same sentiment. Meanwhile, critics are watching as the pressure builds in Cleveland. If Shedeur isn't QB1 in Week 1, are the Browns making a major mistake? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Garrett didn't hesitate. He said Shedeur should start because he's flashed real playmaking ability. And when the face of your defense speaks that strongly, people listen. Shedeur brought tempo. He brought mobility. He made throws that forced everyone to pay attention. Yes, Dillon Gabriel was drafted earlier. A 3rd-round pick carries weight. But what did the production show? Completion rate under 60%. Fewer than 1,000 passing yards. Only one game over 200 yards. Barely over 5 yards per attempt. That's not explosive offense. Add in a sack rate near 9%. That suggests hesitation and stalled drives. Draft status doesn't win games. Performance does. Impact does. Shedeur has shown more spark and more upside. That matters far more than where a name was called on draft night. Then there's the uncomfortable conversation, Deshaun Watson. The Browns invested heavily, 1st-round picks and a fully guaranteed $230 million contract. Since then, suspensions, injuries, and inconsistency have clouded the picture. When he played, the results weren't elite. Now he carries a massive cap hit moving forward. Mentorship is valuable, but Sundays are about results. Paying a player doesn't automatically guarantee the job. If he returns healthy, could he compete? Sure. But should the future hinge on that? That's the bigger question. Gabriel has already been moved around the depth chart. Todd Monken reportedly appreciated Shedeur's skill set even before joining the staff. The locker room hears Garrett. Fans feel momentum shifting. Shedeur may have been drafted later, but hunger and growth often outweigh draft position. This isn't about pride or past decisions. It's about winning. If Cleveland wants to move forward, clarity matters. Naming Shedeur the starter would at least define the direction.
You know, Todd Monken's scheme favors somebody who's a quick processor who can grow within the system. I think they have that in Shedeur. He did have that one bright game against the Tennessee Titans. I know you hate that game because it was the Tennessee Titans. But he threw for 364 yards and had 3 touchdowns, and he's progressed through his start. So, nevertheless, I like Shedeur being QB1.
Okay.
So, Todd Monken has a decision to make, and it's not complicated. Shedeur isn't just showing flashes, he's developing in real time. One standout performance doesn't define a career, but his 364-yard, 3-touchdown game against Tennessee showed he can handle big moments. He's processing defenses faster. He's extending plays. He's commanding huddles. That's growth you can see week to week. Monken's system requires quick reads and adaptability. Shedeur fits that mold. Every snap he takes builds rhythm and confidence. Leadership isn't always about age. Sometimes it's about command, and he's starting to show that. Why delay development if he's already trending upward? Waiting can stall momentum. Shedeur looks prepared to lead now. If the Browns want to maximize potential, they may need to lean into it.
So should the Browns players want him at QB1? Of course. Based on what they have right now on their roster, absolutely. Should he just be outright the guy? No, he should have to earn that. I think he's the favorite to win it because of everything that Myles Garrett said. But even though he showed flashes, he still has a long way to go. Now, if you don't add a quarterback to that room and you keep those 3 guys that you just mentioned, and that's who you're going into the season with, absolutely.
Myles Garrett didn't mince words. He believes Shedeur has earned the opportunity. The idea that he still needs endless proof doesn't align with what we've seen. He's shown composure, resilience, and the ability to create under pressure. Let's be honest. Right now, no one else on the roster is generating the same excitement. Monken's offense demands sharp processing and decisiveness. Shedeur has displayed both. Calling him not ready feels outdated when the growth is visible. Teammates notice it. Fans notice it. Analysts are starting to notice it. There's always risk in turning to a young quarterback, but there's also risk in hesitating. If Shedeur continues trending upward, delaying the decision could slow the offense's evolution. He hasn't just flashed, he's steadily improved. At some point, you reward that trajectory.
What are the chances that Shedeur Sanders ends up being?
Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Because
honestly, he can be a guy.
Well,
You
it's their
said it
job.
yourself.
It's their job. No. I said he could better than Dillon Gabriel. I think it is very unlikely that Shedeur Sanders is ever a top half of the league quarterback.
To Willie's point of nobody knows, if either of us were in a situation where we had an occupation where we weren't fully supported and we were being restricted to some measures, to some degree.
Yeah.
And you felt that you went out there and you tried to do your best, you couldn't truly show the fullness of who you were until you found somebody that was completely in your corner, or at least willing to say, hey, show me everything that you can do. We're gonna give you all of this assistance. We're gonna pour everything into you. Just give us all that you got.
You have to be worthy of that.
Shedeur's path hasn't been smooth. He entered Cleveland with expectations and competition. Early reps were split. Rotations changed. Development wasn't linear. But every time he stepped on the field, he showed glimpses of what's possible. Growth rarely happens without friction. He's navigated scrutiny, comparisons, and depth chart shifts. And through it all, he's continued to improve. Big throws, smart adjustments, poise in tight situations. Those are the signs teams look for in a future starter. Now the focus shifts to Todd Monken. Does he lean into the momentum? Does he prioritize long-term upside over short-term caution? How long do you wait when a young quarterback keeps proving he belongs in the conversation? Shedeur looks ready for a bigger role. The question isn't whether he's talented. It's whether the Browns are prepared to fully commit. The opportunity is there. The support inside the locker room seems to be growing. The fan base feels the shift. At some point, you choose a direction. And Cleveland may be approaching that moment.